Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, a free way to support the channel is by leaving a thumbs up, by leaving a comment, or by subscribing if you have not already done so. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. The sun is very strong today, so I apologize in advance if I'm fanning myself at some point because it's very, very hot. At the moment, or to begin, there's very little actual price news. You know how like we normally get stuff like Bitcoin's on its way to this or this altcoin is on its way to there? There was none of that today. The only news really floating around is kind of a mimic of what we had yesterday, of people basically discussing that it appears as if the cryptocurrency market bottom is in. I believe the number being quoted was $30,000. They believe that we won't go any lower than that, and that we are currently in the position to actually move a lot higher. It says Fidelity Executives believes Bitcoin's price bottom is in after last month's market carnage. Pantera CEO, crypto market panic is subsiding. Now's the time to buy. And at the same exact time, in completely, once again, also unsurprising news, because this happens every single time that we have any type of a price drop in the market, it says Bitcoin whales are stocking up, with millionaire addresses accumulating around 90,000 Bitcoin, worth around $367 billion over the past 25 days. The accumulation was identified by crypto market data aggregator Sentiment, which identified the whales holding between 100 and 10,000 Bitcoin, described by the company as millionaire tier addresses, are now the largest segment of Bitcoin holders and currently account for 48.7% of Bitcoin's current supply. The recent buying spree places the millionaire addresses at a 7-week high for the number of Bitcoin held, with the addresses representing more than 9.11 million Bitcoin, down just a couple of percent from their mid-April high. So this happens all the time. Once again, this isn't surprising. It's that every single time that the prices drop, whales accumulate more. And also keep in mind that a lot of the news that we keep getting as well, we've gone over this before, is basically there to scare you and to scare other people out of the market. And it works very well. If you have a couple of price dips, 5 or 6 like really dramatic price dips, people start to sell their Bitcoin, they get out of the market. All those coins are accumulated by the already richest people on the planet, who continuously say, I believe at least, that they're not accumulating cryptocurrencies when it's blatantly clear that they are. And then the money moves once again from everyday normal people to the richest people on the planet, and that's what we have. And it's going to, it already is, it's going to become a major problem in 15-20 years when they're the only ones who hold any Bitcoin and so many other people keep selling. I have a couple of friends who've mentioned to me that they're thinking about selling, or like, is now a good time to sell? And I try to explain to them, now this is my own personal financial opinion on what I do in the cryptocurrency space. You do not sell, you simply accumulate more. I know that's a weird mantra. I know there's one person who rolled their eyes out there, but it's more of a, if you don't see where this is going, then you're probably not going to have any cryptocurrency in the future. And if you do hold onto your cryptocurrencies and this gigantic mega experiment does work, well, then you're one of the richest people on the planet. So that was the, whoa, almost knocked over my everything. That is the basic price news, if you will, that we have right now. There were 2 other people who also said that the price bottom appears to be in. They do not expect it to go dramatically lower, any lower than $30,000. And it looks like the reaccumulation phase has also re-ended. And therefore, prices are looking to move up. However, for those of you who have not been paying attention, and it's completely fair to not do so simply because it is the stock market fell. A lot of other the other stock markets on this world also began to fall as well. It says stocks traded mixed on Thursday as investors contemplated the Federal Reserve's latest monetary policy decision and updated projections, which signaled a quicker path to higher interest rates than previously anticipated. That's also a lie, because I'll show you, we had this news earlier this year. The Dow fell, while the S&P 500 and NASDAQ gained as tech shares outperformed. Treasury yields steadied after surge following the Fed's decision on Wednesday, and the 10-year yield hovered just above 1.55, which is absolutely terrible. 1.5%. I will never really understand. Like I get that it's for security and people wanting, a very stable return. 1.55 is garbage, especially when the inflation rate is like above 3%. Each of the 3 major stock indexes ended Wednesday session lower. after the Fed's new projections pointed to 2 rate hikes by the end of the year 2023. So basically what we have is that the U.S. government, and I'll give you the last 2 years in about a good minute. The U.S. government has been printing the U.S. dollar to infinity and beyond, as have many other countries also been printing their money. We've seen the inflation, we've seen the hyperinflation, we've seen some of the news within the cryptocurrency space about these countries who are completely crumbling and falling apart, and therefore yada, 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 yada. The United States, for some reason, you can't say it out loud, has continuously said over and over that inflation is actually not a problem and it's going to be transitory, you know, whatever the actual case might be. But what's happening is that we see that it's actually affecting other markets. And the news that we had at the beginning of this year was that the Federal Reserve, the people who print the U.S. dollar, had announced that they were going to keep interest rates as low as possible until the year 2023, basically meaning that they expect the economy to be complete garbage. And in order to incentivize people to be able to take out debt, they lower the interest rates because it's a lot more. If the economy is not doing good, you're more incentivized to take out debt if you have a 0.2% interest rate as opposed to a 5% interest rate. So that's kind of basically what it is. They indicated that they plan on raising the rates around 2023. It says U.S. Fed prepping for markets for taper. A correction will be good. Once again, the dumbest part is, for those of you who are not looking at the screen, this is an article from the 18th of March. We had this news since, I think, the end of February. It says U.S. Fed to keep key rates near zero through 2023. That's the same exact news that we just got about 3.5 minutes ago. We know that they're keeping it near zero or as low as possible until 2023. And when they do raise it, it'll be by 1/4 of a percentage point or maybe 1/2 of a point. So I don't understand why markets would react to some news that we already got earlier in the year. Is it like the reconfirmation that they're going to be doing this? But they said this multiple times before. We've had multiple times during this year where the Fed has had one of their little things where somebody stands behind a podium for about 15 minutes and basically says the same exact thing that they said before with like a slight variation on it. And then people look through it and go, oh, okay, he's going to raise rates. Like we knew that already. So the ending idea is that our market, we've been told many times before, is influenced by stock markets and many other markets around the world, as some people consider us to be a tech market, if you will. And a lot of times if we are deemed too risky, then our market goes down when other tech things go down. And sometimes when the stock market goes down, we also go down because it's like every investment has their money being pulled out of it. I can't give you an exact answer, but this is kind of the idea of everything. So basically the news is that we got re-news of the stuff that we got earlier this year, and apparently it affected all markets, and the cryptocurrency market is down between like 3 to 4%, somewhere around there. But I mean, somewhere along the way, we could also get other news that basically says the reason why the cryptocurrency market fell, and I'm pretty sure it's also not going to have any actual bearing on why we fell down in price, because none of this makes sense anymore. Anyway, that's the price news, if you will, and let's move on. Next up, Carlitos Antonio Rejala Helman, a deputy of the nation and member of Congress in Paraguay, plans to present a Bitcoin bill next month. Today, Rejala Helman stated on Twitter that he plans to introduce new Bitcoin and cryptocurrency legislation within the next month. He said, "This is Paraguay. July, we legislate." Rejala Helman previously hinted at the introduction of a new Bitcoin legislation in early June when he suggested that the country would work on a project involving Bitcoin and PayPal. Few other details have been revealed so far. However, El Salvador, which is introducing legislation that that already happened. Why are they writing that in past tense? The point is, the news is apparently they're going to try and do the same exact thing that El Salvador did just a couple of days ago. Not really sure if this is going to go through. Like, I haven't really looked deep into what the country has been saying or what other officials have been really gearing towards. But I assume if this is kind of placed forward or put forth as a proposition, that many other people are already into it as well. There's always so much taking place. There's always so much movement from countries and things about that within the cryptocurrency space. It looks like we are in like hyper adoption mode, but of course behind the scenes, I've seen a lot of people, I hate the word, I've seen a lot of people discussing like all the recent Bitcoin FUD that's kind of flowing around out there, and it's very, very strong right now. For those of you who don't know, it stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Basically, when good things are happening in our market, you put out negative news, put out more negative news, put out more negative news to make everyone think that something is actually terrible with our market when things are actually just fine. We'll see what happens. The timing is also, once again, close to the Ethereum upgrade. It's clear that our market is very due for a rise up in price, if you will. There's no reason for us to actually be this low anymore. Even the news about like Musk and all these other people talking negatively or positively about our market, it's clear that we're undervalued. Anyway, that's the Paraguay news. We'll see what happens. It's no point in speculating, because when July hits, we'll know yay or nay. Let's move on. So this is probably my favorite news story that we've had in a while, because I could have told you that this was going to happen. Billionaire investor and DeFi proponent, Mark Cuban, has called for stablecoin regulation after he lost money with what he dubbed a rug pull on the Iron Finance protocol. So for those of you who have not really been paying attention, there's a huge amount of energy right now being pushed around DeFi in the traditional financial space. The entire idea is that this area needs to be decentralized. It's great for decentralization. The normal financial world would stand to benefit from something like this, and therefore we should keep it as it is. And when you dig a lot deeper and you actually listen to these people who've been on podcasts, what's happening is they find ways to basically, it's called yield farming. Yield is the return that you get from your investment. And a lot of these people have been yield farming for 28%, 39%, like really, really extremely high numbers. And they sound always very smug when they're on these podcasts, basically talking about, this is a really great space for the cryptocurrency. We threw a couple million into it and we made around 7 million in 14 days. So, what other space does that? However, it always goes this way, because once they start to lose money, that's when they then hate the space, and that's when they start calling for regulation. But it happens every single time. It doesn't happen once. It's happened about 17 times within the cryptocurrency space. That's not a fake number. We always get very wealthy people who move into our market, very, very wealthy people move into our market. They see it as a very easy way for them to make money. They make tons of money. They tell you that you should also be making very easy money. Why are you not making 1.7 million in a day? What's wrong with you? They start losing money, and that's when they run forward and go, well, does anyone have regulations? Can anyone spare some regulations? According to Iron Finance, the partially collateralized stablecoin project was the subject of a historical bank run that resulted in the price of the Iron stablecoin moving off peg. As a consequence, the price of Iron's native token Titan crashed by almost 100% over 2 days from its all-time high of $64. How is that what was it against? What exactly has a value of $64? What kind of stablecoin is that? Anyway, speaking with Bloomberg on the 17th of June, Cuban blamed himself, for being lazy and not doing enough research, but also raised questions surrounding the regulation of stablecoins. I lost money. Why did I lose money? Why is no one regulating this decentralized space that has no actual head of the dragon? This is the topic that we always get to. For those of you who don't understand that, it's the idea that you love your dragon, whatever. I don't even have to give you like a Disney reference. It's more of a when things start going wrong, people begin to look for the head of the dragon, and then they realize that there are 35 heads because it's decentralized and there's no actual god in the space that's telling the rest of the body what to do. But then they start screaming, someone has to regulate all 35 heads. What are we going to do otherwise? And it's only because they lost the money. Keeping in mind that now listen, many other people, they've made millions of dollars in the space. So they're probably at least 50 million above where they were before, but they lost about 7 million now. So that's a problem. He said there should be regulation to define what a stablecoin is and what collateralization is acceptable, because I lost money. Should we require $1 in U.S. currency for every dollar, or define acceptable collateralization options like U.S. treasuries? But that's not going to happen, because it's decentralized finance. Like when you enter any type of investment, it's at your own risk. When you enter the cryptocurrency space, it's at your own risk. When you enter into DeFi, which is basically only like a year and a half, maybe 2 years that it's been around, and you join something called Titan with an Iron stablecoin, you just got greedy. So the point is, this is one of my favorite news stories, because this happens every single time, all the time. There's nothing that we can do about it, and it's also going to continue happening until the end of time. That's not even a joke. That's just because that's how finance works. There's always something like this. There's always some rich person who gets into it who loves it. They lose money, and then they kind of turn to the government and go, why didn't you regulate this? Someone even left a tweet. It says, why is it every time we win an influencer, they turn around and go full whack? Cuban went Deegan to let's have the U.S. regulate smart contracts from anonymous devs. Elon went from Bitcoin is money to environmental nightmare. All we have left is someone named Toby, and he just verified his BitClout. I don't know what that means in young people speak. The point is, yeah, it happens all the time. It's going to happen again. This is why every single time we get a rich person in the market, I'm like, it's cool that they're there because it increases awareness, but they always do the exact same thing. They always end up asking for regulation at some point because they lost money. Anyway, that's the DeFi news. And let's move on. Sure, why not? Facebook's Diem, that is DIEM, has announced it is offering a pre-sale discount on its token for early investors. They said you can participate in the birth of Diem and be one of the first buyers. Buy Diem coins now with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Bcash. First announced as Libra in June 2019, the project's initial plans for worldwide cryptocurrency have since been scaled back significantly. Governments do not like Facebook in general. They also don't like the idea that Facebook was going to be launching their own cryptocurrency. That was a major no-no. So DM kind of got, hyper watered down. Like it's like a wet puppy on the floor. Where basically the initial one stable coin, it got broken down. I think it's 5 or 6 other stable coins that basically had to be directly based off of the US dollar, the euro, the yen, the pound, and the other fifth thing. And now they're offering a pre-sale for it. This thing was supposed to have launched about 2 years ago. Here's the actual thing for it right here. It says, welcome to the DM project. We are offering a pre-sale discount for early investors. Keeping in mind, for those of you who do not know, this is going to be a stable coin, like a $1 based kind of stable coin. So this is not your new favorite investment. This is not something that you should logically actually be getting into. This is for something, because there are a lot of people who do trade stable coins, but they trade stable coins on a basis of like 30, 40, 50 million dollars, so that when there is a 0.5% fluctuation, they make a huge amount of money on it and they feel more comfortable with that. Or they're probably maybe even being given a discount if you buy over $1 million worth of DM. Maybe the coin is sold to you for 75 cents on the dollar as opposed to the entire dollar amount. It's going to happen at some point. I think it's really fascinating how long that they've actually waited to launch this entire platform. But yeah, we're next to it. I assume they'll do this by the end of the year if they have a pre-sale kind of going on now. I wonder how big this is going to be. I have a feeling it won't really make it anywhere. The last news that we had about Facebook coin was I think they were moving out of Switzerland and actually moving to the United States. And that's either because they were told to do so by U.S. and I mean like told to do so by U.S. regulators, or because they found an even larger incentive to go back into U.S. territory. That's the Facebook news. Not as popular as I expected that it would be, because everyone, for some reason, keeps mentioning Facebook DM coin. But we'll see what happens. Let's move on. Also, this is more popular than I assumed that it would be. The CEO of General Motors, America's largest automaker, says that nothing precludes her company from accepting Bitcoin if there is consumer demand for it. She said, certainly we want to make the whole buying and ownership experience as easy as possible. Mary Barra, the CEO of GM, talked about the prospect of the largest automaker in the United States accepting Bitcoin in an interview with CNBC on Wednesday, referencing Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Stating last week that his electric car company may start accepting Bitcoin again, Barra was asked whether GM will start accepting the cryptocurrency for payment. She replied, there's nothing that precludes us from doing that. We will be driven by our customers. I get it, because they're a car company. Certainly, we want to make the whole buying and ownership experience as easy as possible. We will follow their lead. Okay, sure, why not? So the news is that basically that GM might at some point accept Bitcoin if there's demand for it. I think that kind of basically goes to what every other company is doing, because they're all doing the exact same thing. I do not assume this month, nor the next month, nor maybe even any time this year that GM will begin to announce that they are allowing payments for their cars in Bitcoin, simply also because, for those of you who don't know, people found out that there were 0 zero Tesla cars that were actually purchased with Bitcoin. And that was kind of one of the theories as to why Elon Musk kind of did an about face. And this is, all speculation, of course, as to why he did an about face is because no one bought any Tesla with Bitcoin. So when you say that you're going to do something and you think that you're grand and great because you're Elon Musk and no one does what you announced, well, there you go. So I also don't assume people who are holding Bitcoin, at least at this point, I assume that a lot of the weak hands, if you will, have been completely shaken out of the market. I think everyone holding now just expects Bitcoin to go to six figures. If not a 100,000, they see a 180,000, a $200,000 Bitcoin. So nobody really wants to be the person who sells their Bitcoin at $38,000, $39,000, $40,000 for a General Motors car. And then 5 years down the line, the thing is at $500,000. Well, that's cool. My car has already lost value once I drove it off the lot. So can I re-exchange my car for the entire Bitcoin? Oh, I can't. I made a mistake. So no one's going to be doing this anytime soon. That's why I said before, like every single time that a company announces that they're doing it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's great. For the future, that'll be fine. But no one's going to actually be using that service, at least in my mind. Let's move on. And to finish things off, a virtual, digital, not touchable plot of land sold as an NFT in the open world metaverse game known as Decentraland has sold for $913,000 based on the price of the game's Ethereum-based mana cryptocurrency. The estate NFT, called a land token in the game, sold for 1.295 million mana. According to data from Non-Fungible, that is the highest land value sold in terms of US, I'm pretty sure, ever. However, there have been past sales before. The record sale was 2.7 million mana in November 2018, which at the time when prices were a lot lower, and that sold for $211,000. So that's where we are. That's what's happening now. I do expect wholeheartedly, once we kind of get the digital world look together, you may have seen or have experienced other virtual digital land games. They look terrible. I'm not trying to make fun. Like, they just really look, they look like remember computer graphics in like 1997? That's what these worlds look like. So they're not going to be fully hyper adopted until they look, at least until like, give us like 2009 graphics, 2010. But even then, that's kind of like a little bit shaky. So everyone's just mainly hyper speculating that in the future, this platform will kind of be the one that everyone's going to be using. But no one knows which platform. I think some of these prices are absolutely insane simply because we don't know. We don't know if Decentraland is going to be the main platform that people go to. I don't think it even looks like this. Like I'm not even half joking. This image that's on the screen right now, I'm pretty sure this is like a pre-rendered image, because I've seen some of these games. I've watched people on YouTube walk through them. Remember the first Tomb Raider game on the PS1? That's what these lands look like. It's just not nice to look at. So anyway, that's the huge record sale. It's not that I'm knocking it, but it's more like come on, like I don't know. I just personally, maybe I'm just too old now. I'd rather just buy physical land, or homes and houses. $913,000 buys you a lot of like actual real estate. But the digital world is weird and prices go completely bananas. So that's that news. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters: Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Roman Geba, Bitcoin Ben, Arachno Dave, Tony Ambroski, The Dealer's Den, Red Plum Tomato, Umnu, Wishniki, The Letter M, Stefan Dirks, Not Brain, Captain Something in the Z-Way, Lay, Crypto, Black Sheep, AJ Cut 5, Speedy 655, and Carlos Was Like, Mo Barazi, Jojo Shaw, Show VB Nerd 21, Miguel Grolay, Lauren De Silva, Quartered Biddy, Bare Bones Mining, Troy Allgood, Space Case Need a Miracle, Paternoster, Conan Don't Skip Leg Day, Snacky Chan, Tolik Banan, Auspicious Agile and Blockchain, Navarro Williams, David James, Attila Dahan, Yasha Harari, Utopia 569, Moonman High, XRP, Martin Steuer, Nostromo, John Sarson, The Anima Reader, Ebibiophobia, Todd, Mullis, Adam, Graysick, Mohar Maroni, Master Ventures in Thailand, Jared Schneider, Wise Knight, Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Cole D3D, Damien, Setsuna, Richie Rich III, Vlad the Impaler, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Miller Hitch Test Every Day, and Cal Skips Leg Day. Yes to Crypto, Bodie McBoatface, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigger Macho Nisa, All Crypto with Lionel, Crayola Michelle, URL, and Bolero Bastos. Thank you all very, very much for your support. It is extremely hot. I'm sitting right in the sun. I'm not sure why I chose to sit here. Thank you to everyone who is a new Patreon member. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel by clicking the little join button below. Thank you to everyone who left a like, a comment, or has subscribed. At the moment, Bitcoin is currently at 37,747. It is down by 4%. It is like going sideways down, if that makes any sense. The rest of the market has, of course, followed suit because Bitcoin is a gigantic magnet in the sky. Theta is up by 2.4%. Tron is up by 2%. Theta Fuel is up by 14%. Sure, why not? Tezos is up by 2% as well. Sure, those are the only really weird coins that are up, and they're also not up by a huge amount. I assume, is it Friday? Tis Friday. We'll see what happens by the weekend. I assume illogically that things will begin to recover, and I say illogically because there's nothing stopping the market from recovering, but every time that something logical happens, our market tends to take a dip. We can only, once again, just assume that it is the whales accumulating, because this is just what they do. I do hope that you all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.